I'm only going to use a handful to simplify that. And if I simplify that, my installations are simple. I want to talk about something that I'm super passionate about, and I love this topic, and it's the topic of pricing. Okay. I'm addicted to it. A lot of people ask in the Facebook groups, even when I get on calls with people, they're wondering like, how do I price landscape lighting? And there's a ton of ways to do it. There's some right ways, there's some wrong ways, but there's so many different variables that you have to consider. But I want to talk about and perhaps give you some recommendations that might help you so that you can get your pricing on point where it needs to be. There's kind of the debate of like, do I price per light or not? I'm actually in the camp of it's okay to price per light. And I actually like that as long as you consider some other variables, because it's not just a stagnant like price per light. And I understand this. Listen, on paper, you could get a highly paid consultant or an accountant or whatever is probably going to disagree with me. And on paper, my method may not look correct, but I also operate in a reality that's not just on paper. Okay. I'm trying to help people scale their business. And when I scaled my business, I didn't want to rely on having to go look at the paper. Right. And so I want to talk about how to do this effectively, because there is some things that can really help you out, and there's some things that can really trip you up. But the first thing I'll say, like major warning, if you are going to do price per light, don't talk about unit pricing with customers. Okay. Generally speaking, people don't like that, right? Some people have told me like, yeah, I pre-qualify. I usually tell them like, hey, on the phone, it's around $200-300 a light. And like, I just cringe when I hear that. I'm like, oh, stop. Like you just lost a deal, man. Like no wonder you're struggling. So I just cringe when I hear people talk to homeowners about the price per light. And, what I found is that people will gladly spend $10,000 to $20,000 on landscape lighting that's going to completely transform their property, and it continue to help them in their life, their mental health. It allows them to unwind and relax at the end of the day. That's nothing. That's easy for them to do, but they definitely don't want to spend $400 for a single light fixture, right? And that's the difference, is when you package it like that and you're selling an experience and you're not selling a fixture for $400 light, you're going to be much more successful. Actually, just last night, I went to the Jazz game, the Utah Jazz, decided to take my daughter. She's my oldest daughter, and she loves the Jazz. We watch the Jazz when we can together. And I was looking for tickets, and I go on like a local app to find tickets, and tickets they're not cheap, right? And especially a lot of these resale sites, like they're making some serious money on their season tickets. And I was looking at tickets, and there was some awesome tickets that I wanted to get, but they were $325 a ticket. I was like, oh my gosh, like 325. Then I get the two of us, that's $650 just for the tickets, and then we got to get food and stuff like that. I was just like, what? And my wife's like, wait, you're taking her? You're going to spend $650 and you're not taking me? Well, no, I'm not getting those tickets. We didn't end up getting those tickets. Those were a little bit lower. We got like row 21, and the tickets were like $100 each. So still, not cheap. But here's what I found interesting. After I was looking at that, I shared that experience with my wife. I saw someone was selling a portion of their season tickets, and the ad or whatever it was written, it said for $6,500 you get season tickets. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I click on that, I read it, and $6,500 gets you a quarter of a season of season tickets. But really, when you breaks it down, there's only 40 home games, so a quarter of a season is only 10 games, and you get 2 seats for 10 games for $6,500. But Lindsay was like, I told her, I'm like, yeah, season tickets $6,500, a quarter season. She's like, oh, that's not bad. And I'm like, what do you mean that's not bad? She's totally willing to drop $6,500 for 2 seats for 10 games at $6,500. Guess what? It works out to the exact same price. You do the math, it's $325 a seat. It's so much harder to break it down per unit like that, to spend $325 at a time instead of like larger lump sum. Sometimes it doesn't make sense even when I say it out loud, but I've seen it work in basketball tickets, and I've seen it work in landscape lighting. So be careful that when you are pre-qualifying and you're throwing out some numbers, that you're not throwing out the wrong numbers. Because again, I'm okay with you throwing out a number, but I think I'd much rather have someone tell me that, hey, lighting's going to cost $10,000 to $20,000 instead of like, yeah, a light fixture is $400. Because you got to remember, our clients, when they hear $400 for a light, they think they're just getting a light for that. They don't know about your insurance. They don't know about your taxes. They don't know about all these different things. And so you've got to be careful how you word these things. And maybe it's worked for you. I've had people say, well, that's not true. It works for me. I told this guy whatever, and it worked. Like, it can work. Anything can work every once in a while. But if you want to scale, if you want to put a system in place that's going to help you dominate in your area, you've got to rethink how you're doing things. One tip I want to give you when it comes to pricing, and this is why you can't just go, well, I'm going to do price per light and I'm good. You've got got to understand before you even get to your pricing, what it costs you to run your business. So I want you to ask yourself the question, how much does it cost to put one light in the ground? And if you don't know that answer, then it's hard to do pricing because you don't really know what it costs you. So you don't know really what you're making. The easiest, the fastest way to understand what it costs to do business is basically get a spreadsheet out. If you don't have a spreadsheet, a piece of paper, doesn't really matter, and write down every single expense that you had in the last 12 months. I'm talking like truck payments, insurance, gas, food, tools, anything that's not material and not labor, because we're basically trying to help you understand what your daily overhead number is, what it costs you to just wake up in the morning. Two big ones that people usually forget are taxes. I don't know why people forget to pay taxes, but they do, and they go to jail. But another one is replacement costs. So like these are things that tripped me up too. It's like, well, I already own this tool, so why would I have to pay for the tool again? Well, when the tool breaks in 6 months, where's that money going to come from? And if you haven't budgeted for it, if you're not planning on it, or the truck or whatever it may be, then you're going to put yourself in a situation where your cash flow is not as good as you had projected, right? So make sure you understand your daily overhead number by getting your annual expenses. If you have monthly subscriptions, times that by 12. If you have one-time payments every year, then put that in there. And then you're going to divide that total number, your total expenses for the year, divide that by the number of working days that you have in your market. You're probably going to have more working days than if you're in the north, just simply because of the weather, the winter, right? It's not 365 days. No one's working 365 days, guys. And it's usually not even 300. It's usually closer to like 200, 220. And so you've got days off, you've got rain days, you've got vacation, you've got sick days, you've got all sorts of reasons why you're not going to work every single day of the year. So figure out what that number is. And if you want to be a little cautious in your projections, the lower the number, the better. So if you think you're going to work 250 days, then put 220. If you think you're going to work 220, then put 200. And basically you're going to get your total expenses, divide by the number of days, and that's going to give you your daily overhead number. That's what it costs you to wake up in the morning. And you have to understand this, because when you go to use your price per light and you say, well, I'm going to go do this job, it's 10 lights and I'm going to charge $250 a light, that's only $2,500. And if your daily overhead number is $2,000, and guess what? You're losing money that day because you haven't bought materials and you haven't done the labor yet. And so these are important things to think through when you're doing your pricing. There's other variables. The first one is like a minimum job size. So you could say like, hey, we're not going to do a job unless it's $3,500 or $5,000 or whatever your number is based on your daily overhead number, right? And a couple other variables are like how many driveways and sidewalks. Do you have lengthy runs? Is it a bigger estate? Do you have to do custom work like core drilling or saw cutting? Do you have more expensive fixtures? Do you have to install custom lights around the arbors and the walls and down lights in trees and in eaves and things like that? So the key here is to simplify. You want to keep your pricing simple, and then you want to have variables. So you might say, okay, I'm going to charge $400 per light. Also, I'm going to add $150 when I have a custom thing, or I'm going to add $500 for long wire runs, and keep it super simple. And the reason why I do these things, again, on paper, it might be like, wait, this doesn't make sense. You're missing out on what this connection cost, or you're missing out on this, or maybe you should have added some, or maybe you should have taken some away. But the main reason I like to simplify my process for pricing is because I'm trying to simplify my business. And if I can simplify my pricing, guess what? It's also going to simplify the products that I'm going to use. So I'm not going to be using 14 different manufacturers. I'm only going to use a handful to simplify that. And if I simplify that, my installations are simple. And so I have less training and I have less communication problems with my installers. And what's even better is you have less complication when it comes to maintenance. There's so many reasons. It's kind of a trickle effect. The more simple you can keep everything, the more simple your business stays, right? And then the other thing is, if you want to hire your replacement, if you want to really grow from operator to owner, and you want to get a salesperson, you want a lighting designer going out there, you want to set them up for success. And if you're making it hard for them and they're having to take pictures and then go back to the office and use your spreadsheet, and then they're going to have to work up a design and all this just for a $5,000 or $10,000 deal, then they're probably not going to get it, and they're probably not going to stick around because they want commissions. And so you want to be able to put a simple pricing process into place that they can come up with on the spot in order to close that deal quickly. And that's going to ensure that they're happy because they're making money and they're going to stick around a lot longer. So again, some of these things are not on paper. You could argue with all day long with certain variables, but understand it's not just about that. It's also about the fact and the reality of speed. And if you want to be able to scale and you want speed of business, then you've got to be able to make some of these decisions. So I love it when processes like this connect, when your pricing affects your products and your products affect your install, and your install affects your speed of warranty and maintenance and all these things. That's when you start to build the machine. You start to build this business that can actually run without you.